Hey, good morning, everybody. Brad here. Hope you're having an awesome and blessed morning, whenever you're watching this Bible thingy with me and Tyler Woods. Tyler Woods is on the line right now. We've got the blessing of having the bulletproof pastor, the one, the only, and we've got a topic that I'm sure is gonna be challenging, which is the politically correct way of saying this is gonna be a fun time slugging it through, because you've got to be willing to think biblically and eternally instead of temporarily. Now, I know we live here in this world, we're put here, but ultimately, this is not our home. And ultimately, we belong to a different family than the one that you're sitting with right now eternally, not temporarily. So, with that, I'm not gonna give it away too much until we get him on the phone. But let's see who's here this morning. Let me scroll to the top and look to see who is in the chat room. Good morning to Thomas Pearson the third, Danny, Steve, Goodning, Pepper, Leah, Rocky Top Homestead. Good morning to Jess and crew. Good morning to Martha, Dan, Sally, Pepper, Leah. Good morning to AZ, Sally H. Good morning to Scott, Meg, Sue, and Amy Jo T. Pearson, and many, many more. Good morning to you all. Clink. Let's take a swig of coffee. Darn good coffee. And let's say good morning to Tyler Woods, the bulletproof pastor. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I am fine. It is sunny. It has cooled down. Yesterday was 94 degrees until we had a cold front that came through.
It's
And
warm. It's cool there.
it finally has cooled down here.
Well, it's actually not metaphorically, not in my heart, but literally snowing here. Just started.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's snowing. So mid-October, we're in for quite a fun year.
Let me just say it has cooled down to 82.
We have a layer of snow. It's sticking. I can't believe it.
I have butternut squash and pumpkins just developing nicely right now in my garden.
Oh man, Steve Ganink, I know he's in Michigan. It's coming your way, bro. It's if it wasn't too much effort to grab the camera and mess with it and show you, but everything, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but it's mid-October.
Well, not that things aren't everything is bigger in Texas, but you know those little butternut squashes that are about maybe 10 to maybe 12 inches long in the grocery store?
Yeah.
Well, I have one that's 10 inches across.
Yeah, but the problem is they don't taste as good.
I don't know.
When you let them get big, man, they're like clubs. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how good they are, but I had part of my garden where I just let them, I just planted them and let them go.
Yeah.
And the soil is good. And the other part, I mulched with bedding from the goat stalls.
Yeah.
And those things are monsters.
Yeah.
So I'll see how they are. Maybe they'll be terrible. Maybe they'll split. I don't know. I've never grown them that big before.
Well, I'll tell you what,
But
I'm sure
I didn't let them get that big. They exploded on me.
Well, and I'm sure you know this, but if you don't, the goats will go gaga for them. You just got to cut them open.
Oh yeah. They love all that stuff. So I either grew feed or I'll
Either
grow
way,
food.
yeah, exactly. Either way, you're still eating it. Well, no, you don't eat your goats.
Well, we milk them.
Well, then there you go. That's one way to think about it. And you could ferment the squash too.
Oh yeah, or I could grind it into powder and we could use it that way. It's still got nutrition in it.
It's flour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So this morning, the topic, it's going to be a difficult one for, I would say, probably a lot of people, because we were raised to think a certain way about laws, about where you are physically, your country, your nation. What is your biblical duty to your country? Military service. What are your responsibilities when it comes to obeying certain monetary things? Let's talk about nationalism. Let's talk about what where we're supposed to be as a believer, because this is the struggle. We live in the world, and so we have affiliations. We do. But the question is, how many of those are we supposed to actually do biblically? And what are the ones that maybe we can say, well, we should not do these things? Why? Because we're not Americans first, or we're not Canadians first, or we're not British first. We're we're biblically aligned with our family, our true family, which is in heaven. And so that's where I want to start is let's talk about the mentality of nation first. What do you think we should be, considering when it comes to the Bible, when it comes to nation mentality?
Well, obviously, we are citizens of a different country. We are pilgrims passing through this land, and sort of we are guests here. We still need to obey the laws, but our allegiance is unto Christ and the kingdom of God, not, our prayer is, Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And it is not, um, you know, I will support my country in every manner possible, um, without regard to morality. So we are first held to God's standard. Under that, it does not give us license or liberty to to violate lawful orders. We are still in in this country and citizens of this country. Therefore, we need to obey its laws and be subject to the higher powers. Now, that's where the rub comes in, because we got to determine what are the higher powers.
Actually, there's a rub before that. You mentioned it, but the rub that I start with is, what are laws that you would push back against? Because you say we should obey the laws of the land. Well, the laws of our land say that we pay taxes to murder babies.
Yeah, that's true. But
So then, are we being good Christians by murdering babies with our money?
the thing is, we are not murdering the babies with our money.
I know.
We are paying taxes to a
People that
nation
are
that is
doing it.
abusing that tax money in ways that are not morally lawful. But we are not held responsible for how that money is being used. Same thing with when you give tithes and offerings to your church. If the church is misappropriating those funds or using them unwisely, it's not the giver that is responsible for that.
Yeah, but hold on. Okay. This topic does rub me wrong, because this is exactly the mentality that got Hitler to have regular Christian people murdering Jews. It's the same idea. There's a book that was called Hitler's Cross that I read a long time ago, and how he used the church to basically form in Christians' minds. There's two different yous. There's one you that is your Christian you, and then there's your you that is your nationalist you. And you're being a good
Yeah.
Christian by being a good nationalist. And so my thought is this, like, so if we knowingly are participating in a system that is murdering babies, it's no different than the Nazis. I'm just in the army. All I did was drive the car. All I did was, I was the one that was opening the doors and ushering people into Auschwitz. I didn't do the killing. It's the same mentality.
Yeah, yeah. There is a difference. And when uh, getting back to the tithes and offerings illustration, if I am aware that my church is abusing the offerings or
And you keep giving.
support, and yeah, well, that's the whole rub. I have the option of changing which church I give to or where I go.
Oh,
And if I
okay.
am aware of it, then yes, I get out of Dodge. I go and find um, you know,
Different place to worship.
a church with integrity rather than a church that's
Okay. All right.
misappropriating
All right. Well,
funds.
then we could argue the same exact mentality you're saying is that knowing that our country is murdering babies with our money, then your argument would say we would be Christians and responsible for our own actions unless we left.
Well, there are many who have left.
I'm saying that's
Uh,
what you're saying.
yeah, that you can choose to leave the country. You can choose to support very powerfully uh, the movements to oppose that and to change these laws, and that's been happening.
Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is knowing where your money's going and then we still keep paying it is the same exact thing as what you're saying. We should get out, is what you're saying.
If you well, if you can. But what do you do? But what do you do if, I mean, you are responsible to pay your taxes. In fact, you don't have a choice. They take your taxes out of your paycheck before you get there. Um, and if you do not pay your taxes, they'll come and take your land and your house
and so
and throw you in
and
prison and all the
and
rest.
no and so tell to the Israelites what they do. They left.
Yeah.
You know, here's my point is that this is a sticky situation that I don't like being in because there is no right answer in terms of staying here. We
No,
know what's happening with our money and we're going, I don't want to lose my house. That's what we're saying. I don't want to lose my job. I'll keep paying it knowing what they're doing, but I'll still be cushy. It'll be fine as long as I don't, I don't want to lose my life. I don't want to move. It's never, here's the thing. It's like, it's same thing as Nazi Germany, but we just, for some reason, will rationalize it why it's okay for us. Sue says,
well, how do we, and we don't just have to say murdering babies. That's just one.
oh, I know. How about bombs?
Look at all the
How
other
about bombs? Boeing, Lockheed Martin. Like
we're supporting arms defense to
murder other
terrible
people.
countries. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
well, and okay, and so Sue is
We
saying,
call it defense in space. What about the offense?
yeah, Sue is saying Jesus said, "Give to Caesar what is due to Caesar, and to God what is God's." Okay, yes, and I agree with that. Obviously, I agree with that. The problem is this: we are working. Somehow you make money, whether it's Social Security, I don't know, whatever. Whether you work a job and you earn money by using their system, the government system, you are, in fact, giving some of your efforts, your physical or intellectual or however you make money, your efforts are generating money for them. And they are using that money to do stuff. So when you say give to Caesar what is Caesar's, well, you're giving your efforts to Caesar. By using their monetary system. Now, you could argue, well, I just won't use their monetary system. And that would be great. Try it. You won't have a house.
It's not easy, but there is a lot you can do.
Yeah, but you won't have a house.
Not in everything.
Because you can't pay taxes.
That's right.
So here's the problem.
By using alternative means, you pay less taxes.
Well, yeah, but that's to say I'm using less killing.
Yeah.
I got killing light.
You a little bit.
I'm killing light. I'm only killing 100 babies instead of 1,000 babies. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about the abortion issue, obviously. But here's the thing. It's when you're right, Tyler. It's when you know you're a part of a thing and then you're still doing it or you're not doing it. And that's the big problem because we all look at it and we go, yeah, I know what's going on. What can I do? That's the only argument we have is, yeah, my money's going to kill babies. My money's going to kill people and overthrow governments and put fentanyl into the system and poison people with the water. I know, but what am I going to do? That's not a good argument.
Yeah. What do we do? Where is our responsibility?
Can you imagine trying to explain this to God? Let's play this game, okay? Honestly, if we're really being truthful, okay, God, yeah, I know that I spent all that time working, and I know that like 30% of it was going to kill people and babies and do all these horrible things, but I really like my house.
Yeah.
How you
Yeah,
gonna
it's so
explain him to that?
comfortable to live in sin.
But Sodom is so nice. I like Gomorrah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Think
Yeah.
about
Look at the
that.
nice plantings. The architecture's so beautiful here.
And by the way, guys, I'm going to shut up here in a second because this is a thing that it bugs me. Because it's like, how do you navigate this as a believer who's really trying to live out your faith and not just full of crap? Because you know, and I know where our money's going. And that means not money, it means our time. It means my investment. I make money, I do a thing, I am entrusted with stewardship from God to use it honorably. And what are we doing? We're going, la, 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 la. I don't really want to know. So the truth is this: how do we navigate this properly? Or are we supposed to just act like it didn't happen?
And I don't really have the solid answer. There isn't anybody that does. Not that I'm aware of. We struggle with this one because you don't have a choice in paying your taxes, and your taxes are going to do horrible things. Not all of them, but
A lot.
a portion of them, a fair sized portion
Even if
of
it was
them.
one.
Even if it was $1, it is a horrible thing that's happening with the taxes that we pay to a government. And we're told to obey the higher powers. I wonder what they're high on, because they're not obeying the constructs of our country. And that also comes into this a little bit, because the higher powers, what are they? They aren't always people. The highest powers in our land are the three branches of our government. One of them is executive, then the legislative, which is Congress, then the judicial, which is the Supreme Court. They are the higher powers in our land. And there can be issues where one portion of the higher power steps out of bounds, and that's recently been getting checked quite a bit, quite often. And they are being struck down by the Supreme Court. So at what point do you say, this is out of line, I'm not paying? You can go to jail for that until the Supreme Court comes in and corrects it.
But still, we shouldn't care, right? I mean, we're doing what's right, period. And this is only a temporary place. I mean, look at Paul.
Yeah.
He got thrown in jail all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a pastor who's been in and out of prison. They put him in a jail cell with this violent Muslim guy, expecting him to be a casualty. And God allowed him to lead that Muslim guy to the Lord. So that sort of upset the apple cart.
They thought he was just going to kill him.
Yeah, they thought they were going to just haul a body bag out in the morning. And what they ended up having was a great, big, giant, former Muslim, now Christian.
I think the problem is that we don't think of our allegiance as to heaven. We think of our allegiance as to right here, right now, where I'm at.
Our family.
Yeah, well, exactly. Because think about it like this. If we really believed in our heart of hearts that we are in the family of the creator of heaven, like that's my dad. I don't want to disappoint my dad. Jesus, he's my dad. Holy Spirit, yeah, got it. If we really thought honestly of that, this place would mean nothing to us. We would be offended. We would be offended at the idea of giving money to a cause that was doing harm,
Yeah.
but we don't.
Instead of overlooking it, placating our concerns.
Temporary. Oh, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to lose my house.
I think it comes down to how much do we really trust God?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Are we willing to trust God to use us for his glory? Or maybe are we willing to be used of God for his glory because it might be uncomfortable?
Yeah. I do think of when Jesus was talking about give unto Caesar Caesar's, when he said, show me a denarius, right? Or a
Yeah.
coin. Well, Rome was in charge then, and Rome was the occupying power. They were the ones. They were in a country that had been taken over by Rome. Rome ruled.
Hmm.
Rome did a lot of stuff that was not great, kind of like the United States. But Jesus said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. And the same stuff was going on then. That's why this also does mess with my head, because
Hmm.
where do you go with this? It's like, am I using my money, the stewardship aspect of being a believer? I've earned money by work. So God has blessed me with these funds. Now, I know what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
And Jesus is saying you should still give it to them. It's what they're going to do with it is not yours, but by the same token, I know what's going to happen with it.
Hmm.
So finding that balance is an awkward place to be. And I think the reason why I wanted to bring this up, because it's actually going to go bigger than this. It's going to go bigger than money. It's nationalism.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a question of, are you participating directly or are you not? I think that's where we really have to come to a place of understanding, because like you're saying, you don't know what they're doing with the money. Well, we do, because, the internet and news, but you didn't make it happen. You didn't vote for it to be there. I mean, you kind of did. If you voted, for whoever, Tom, Dick, or Harry, R's, D's, L's, whatever you put in front of your name, you know what they're going to do. And if you voted for it, I guess then you could probably say you should have a little bit of guilt on your shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah. If you were deceived and the politician became something they never said they would do afterwards, that's one thing. But when they broadcast ahead of time and stood on a platform of these are the things I'm going to do, and this is the kind of person they are, and this is the history of what type of individual they were, and you voted for them, then you got what you voted for, and you're responsible for their actions. But yeah, that's a tough one,
Well, for
because
me,
I'm
yeah.
not my circus, not my monkeys. Well, yes, it is your
You
circus, and
voted.
yes, they are your monkeys.
Yeah. 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 Well, there's so many things that are just challenging about our political system that, I mean, it wasn't started this way, and it just got twisted and perverted, and the Constitution got messed with. And now we're in this place that doesn't even resemble America from 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Actually, it doesn't represent America 30 and 40 years ago, but it does represent America today.
Yeah.
These people, these corrupt politicians, are there because of greed
It's a
and
good moneymaker. Yeah.
voters who supported that greed. And that's a tough one to swallow. The American public wants the things that are happening, that they want our politician to be greedy and corrupt and benefit me and not everybody else. The problem is there's a cumulative result of that when all the politicians are now corrupt and doing selfish things for their own pockets and constituents. Oh, by the way, if they're going to be corrupt to bring benefit to their people, they're also going to be corrupt to bring benefit to their own pockets. And
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
we have a cumulative effect of corruption that is now destroying our country. And everybody says, oh, that's terrible. Well, how did you vote? Who was your
Well, I'm going to take it one. We're going to kick it up a notch now. Okay. So, because we're talking about voting a lot, and we're saying, well, who's responsible? Here's the problem, guys. I don't care whether you go back to the Babylonian times or Israel or now, people are corrupt. They have always been. We are sinful, broken people. Without Christ, there is no hope. And so here's the problem. I don't care if you're in communist China today, there is still greed. There is still control. There is still a pecking order that everybody knows what it is. And whether you vote or not, it doesn't matter. Humans are going to figure out a way to make sure that the ones that are on top stay on top. They're going to figure out a way to make sure that their enemies are enemies. And it's how it's always been. And so,
yeah.
and so my problem is this. When we say voting, we should vote. Well, okay, except it's been proven out that they are rigging elections left and right. Humans will find a way to steal, kill, and destroy and control. It doesn't matter whether you have a voting ballot in your hand or not. They're going to figure out a way. Matter of fact, I read a story this morning. This was incredible. An election process that's going on right here in the United States. It was basically super administrative authorities were given in this computational system of elections, of voting, here in the United States to communist Chinese companies. Yeah. Over there, their admins are what is saying what is good and what is bad in our election systems. Voting is not the problem. See, here's the problem, is that it's a human problem. We've been blessed by being in the United States for a long time by the illusion of freedom.
Yeah.
And I do mean the illusion of freedom.
Yeah.
What happens if you don't pay your taxes? They take your house. You don't own your house. It's an illusion. The problem is that we have a people problem, and that's never going to go away, whether you're in Russia, whether you're in China, whether you're in Taiwan or the United States or Africa. It doesn't matter. It's a people problem.
How free is enterprise in America? Oh, let me see. You have to have a permit. You have to have organization. You have to have documentation. You have to pay all of these special taxes in order to start a business.
Why?
The paperwork is awesome.
Why can't you just start selling lemonade? You can't just set up and start selling lemonade? No, they've actually been ticketing little girls.
Yes. Yeah, they have. And it's outrageous. A young man can't grab a lawnmower and go out and start mowing lawns.
No, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. You got to pay your.
Yeah, not only that, but he doesn't have a work authorization permit, and he doesn't have a business license, and he doesn't have, and he's not paying his taxes, and they shut him down. So, yeah. I get, free enterprise is a wonderful thing. We ought to bring it back in America.
I'm okay. Here, I'm going to say something that, well, if I haven't already said 10 things that are controversial yet, here's one. I'm not sure that America's coming back. I used to be rose-colored glasses guy for a long time. I thought, well, if we just get a good politician in there, if we just get a good Congress, if we would just turn around and turn toward God, then maybe he'll relent and we won't get the punishment that we are justly deserving of. And I'm not sure that can come back anymore because there's too much greed. There's too much control. People people they don't concede power easily. You usually have to take it.
Yeah.
And the problem is this twofold. Here's Brad's perspective on this. All right. Twofold. Number one, people forget quickly. They quickly forget. I don't care. Take Hunter Biden's laptop. Take Ukraine. Take any of these things that we were all up in arms about. Oh, this is horrible. Da 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 da. People forget and the news cycle changes and then we just move on.
Yeah.
So that works along with the frog in the pot. The whole analogy of a frog will sit in cold water, but in a pot, as long as you just turn it up slowly, the frog won't jump out. But if over time, the frog will boil and won't leave.
Mm-hmm.
So you combine those two things, and it's like, I think that just take COVID, for example, man. How many people were all up in arms? I'll never wear a mask. I'll never do this. I'll never do that. And now everybody's triple vaxxed and boosted, and everybody wears masks everywhere. And I mean, now it's a little bit different, but it happened fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and requirements are still out there where certain, I know of families that will not allow anyone entering their home that is not fully vaccinated.
You can stay away then.
Yeah, well, don't you read the reports? All of that stuff has
Isn't
been
the
walked by.
Pfizer guy got COVID? Didn't our president get COVID twice? He's double boosted and whatever.
Yeah,
It's
and it doesn't stop them from
it
being
doesn't
contagious
take a
or
rocket scientist to figure it out.
yeah, it's all,
You were
all of
lied
that
to.
stuff was nothing more than politics to bring people under control and mindless obedience. And it was a test. And America failed because we should have not, we should have torn up the paper, but instead we got in line and became little minions and did everything that we were
Tyler,
told.
this goes to the bigger point. This goes to the bigger point that we don't think of ourselves as being citizens to heaven first. We're so worried about the country, United States, the Republic. Oh, we're going to have a revival. We're going to have this. Or God's going to turn. Well, okay, can I ask why that's more important than your citizenship to heaven?
Yeah.
Because we don't think of it that way. We think here and now instead of eternal.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I'm the first one to say it bugs me. Not thinking that, I mean, okay, here's a goofy analogy. Have you guys ever seen those Narnia movies, the Christian books that are analogies of Jesus and heaven and the stuff that we go on through here? If you've seen one of the movies, have you seen any of them, Tyler? I know
Yeah,
they're.
I saw the
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
That one.
When the kids understand that they're really royalty, that Aslan, Jesus' character, has adopted them as his own, everything changes for them.
Yeah.
Honor becomes a thing. I would never do that kind of vibe becomes a thing. But we don't think of ourselves that way. We think of, I would say that we probably think of ourselves like illegal aliens. We just jumped the fence and got in.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be nasty to people that are trying to find a better life. I'm not. I'm saying that it feels like we're gate crashers. Like somehow we don't deserve to be here. And I'm here to tell you that's the problem, is that we've got to get our head straight in that you are royalty.
Paul said, "Know ye not that we shall judge angels?"
Oh my God.
We are coming to, get this, rule and reign with Christ. So, who are the posers? Who are the, we're the royalty. We own this place.
Right.
This is our land.
Right. But we're believing the lie that it's not.
Yeah, that we are the outcasts. We're the problem. We're the we are the yeah,
Yeah.
we are the irritation to social order. Well, social disorder, yeah, but there's coming a day.
Yeah.
We are going to rule and reign with Christ.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that day. Now, when we look at the things going on in this world, here's what can we do?
T.
Okay, we
Pearson.
look at our responsibility. What do we do about the situation we're in right now?
T. Pearson has the exact comment at the exact right time. To take another analogy from Narnia, I love how C.S. Lewis handles the book, The Last Battle, which is one of my favorites, by the way, believe it or not. They realized that it was the worst of times, but they had a purpose in that time. In that time. Yes, they did. And they served honorably, even in their death, they did. And
Yeah.
that's the key, man. That's the key. Knowing whose you are, not who you are, but whose you are, and
Yes.
serving with honor.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not. I'm an American. And trust me, it bothers me to even say that because we are Americans. We live here in America. But to watch the decay of all of the things that we thought were awesome, that's hard. But it's not. That should not define you. Whose you are is you were bought with a price. You are a citizen of heaven.
Whose you are does define you.
That's it.
And our military today, they have they have on their uniforms is a Velcro area where they stick their name, they stick their rank, they stick their U.S. flag on their shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we need to reach up, pull that flag off. It doesn't mean you disown America, but we need to replace it with, I don't know, the cross, that we are citizens of that country, that we are believers. It doesn't mean to be anti-American. I like the term patriot because that takes me back to the way this country was founded, not the way this country has foundered.
You gave me a good idea. Be more like Daniel. Daniel was taken from his home and taught the ways of a different country, but he rose to the top. He didn't betray the country he was serving, but he never forsook whose he really was, which was God's.
When kings take over, they generally, well, especially when it's from a different country, they generally do away with the previous, the conquered king's cabinet.
Everybody.
But Daniel survived 4 different kingdoms and served each one. And each one recognized that Daniel was a man of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
They also recognized that the previous king didn't follow that wisdom, which is why they came in and conquered it.
They got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Daniel, though those kings did terrible things, Daniel served with honor, and he served the King of Kings, not
a temporary king.
Not a temporary king. Although he was loyal to the temporary king in giving him God's wisdom. He wasn't subversive to any of the kings.
Yeah. Yeah. Daniel's a good example there.
But we have to understand that in the world that we're in, there are things that we can do.
True.
And part of it is the taxes you pay are on the money you use. And just like Jesus said, whose image and superscription is this? And he was holding up a piece of money because the whole subject was taxation.
Yeah.
So how can we get out of it? Because anytime we use U.S. currency, we are obligated to pay taxes. So don't use U.S. currency unless you have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
But that's going to
we could
be
work with
a real
barter
problem
money.
when we got digital dollars. You can't pay your
Yeah, that's
taxes.
well, if you use that, but if you do a barter, if you work with bartering
No, I'm
as
saying
much
what
as
I'm
you
saying
can.
is that when digital dollars are the only acceptable form of payment to pay your taxes for your house and
Oh, for
stuff.
taxes, you're stuck.
Yeah, you're hosed.
Yeah, you're hosed for taxes, but there's a whole lot of other things that can be done.
True.
And there are, um, yeah, we're actually doing this a little bit here. We had on our street, somebody needed um, a dozen eggs, and they traded me a couple of rolls of when paper towels and toilet paper were an extreme shortage. I was given a package of kitchen paper towels for a dozen eggs, and it worked.
Yeah.
So, we worked it out. We did things like that, and those are things that we need to work on.
Okay,
And when
so
you do things like that, it will. The other thing is, how much money do you really need? Because you pay taxes based on how much money you make.
right.
Maybe we need to downsize our income to where we meet our needs and not just try to amass as much wealth as we can.
Well, good
Maybe we
morning,
need
Mr.
to live
Schwab.
a little
Good morning,
lower.
Mr. Schwab. You'll own nothing and be happy.
Yeah.
No, no, time out. You didn't probably understand what I was saying. There's a guy named Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, that's basically trying to reorganize the entire world. And their buzz phrase is you'll own nothing and be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning they control everything in your life.
Yeah. And they meter out what they think you need.
Right. That's messed up.
Yes.
But
Please, sir, may I have more?
exactly, you
No.
only get what you're given. Eat your
Yep.
crickets and shut up. I'll have a
Yeah,
steak.
exactly. But when I know, I mean, we've been indoctrinated in the American way is to g- finance yourself into massive debt so that you can get a home and furniture and nice cars and all these, trinkets. And if you calculate how much you actually spend to pay that debt back, you have bought 3 homes, 4 cars, and I mean the interest over that many years is outrageous. And basically, because you couldn't wait, you ended up buying 3 houses for someone else.
Well, and
So
think, and that,
why?
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I know this works. I know a man who um, worked hard, built a small house debt free, and his family and he lived in that small house. Um, Very simple house, but he built it himself. He paid for it out of pocket, and he built that house. And when he moved, then he built up a company built on the same level of integrity that was a carpet cleaning company.
Mm-hmm.
We used him quite often. It was down here. He was known as a man of great integrity and um, good ethics and great service and high quality work. He moved from here, sold his business, and the profit from his business and the the equity that grew multiple times from that little house that he built. He ended up moving, I don't know where, but he moved with a sizable chunk of cash to go invest in the next house.
You know,
Um,
I know a person who he comes in this chat. He comes in this chat often. Friend of ours. He owns his property outright, and he's in his
yeah,
20s. Okay. And his house that he's building, which is a big, nice house, it's over 2,000 square feet, huge ceilings, gorgeous place. He's almost done with it. He owes zero on it.
there you go.
Zero. And you wouldn't believe all the toys this guy has in terms of like construction things and trucks and all that kind of stuff. He has stuff. And the reason is he works his butt off and he pays for things in cash.
Yeah, and he doesn't finance.
Yep.
I mean, you look at your house payment when you first go into it.
Ouch.
Uh, your beginning payments of a 30-year mortgage, you're lucky if you're paying $5 against the principal.
Mm-hmm.
Your house payment is going entirely to interest.
Uh-huh.
And so
It's a
by the
racket.
time you're yeah, by the time you finish 30 years down the line, which hardly anybody goes that long and hardly anybody reaches that point because they reach a point where they sell that house, buy another one,
Mm-hmm.
get locked into another 30-year, and they're paying almost entire interest.
Yeah.
The debt just keeps rolling. And when you're done, for you have, I mean, I'm not exaggerating, you have purchased the amount of money that you've paid in debt financing could have bought 3 homes.
Yeah. I know Dave Ramsey would be very happy about our talk right now.
Yeah.
Like somebody, Meg said, or no, whoever, T. Pearson. But yes, here's
We are stuck in opulence, and the opulence is feeding the
Mhm.
monster.
Well, and nobody's willing to, or I should say, very few people are willing to push back and say, okay, enough. We always make a reason why it is okay for us. We
Yeah.
always generate some great reason why. Well, I need a nicer car, and here's why. Because I can't
And
afford a
boat
crappy car. I
in
can't
an
afford a
RV.
crappy car. Oh my gosh, man, I'm not going to get into who says this, but there's a person in our life that they've figured out a way to take great earthly wealth and mortgage it down to where they kept refinancing and then things got worse and then refinancing and things got worse. So they sold that and things got worse. And then they bought an RV and things got worse. And now they don't even have that and they're in a bad situation and things got worse. And it's just, it will eat you alive.
Yes, it will.
And your
That's a
government is
that's
not
a
going to help
topic
you.
for a book. Debt comes a calling.
And your government is not going to help you.
Yeah.
They might send you $100 extra in your Social Security check, like they're planning on doing, but
Well, unless you're a college graduate that's making $225,000 or less, then the government will forgive your debt.
because
Your
you're a
your
voting block, that's why.
because yes, because the demographics are that those who have gone to college and are making $225,000 most likely are liberal,
Yeah,
most likely of their particular uh, voting party that they want to be faithful to them. So they are the ones
the goodies.
who got their debt forgiven. And by the way, it's being paid for by the taxpayers who don't make $225,000, which predominantly are their opposition.
Yeah. So
So
coming back to ground zero, all of this stuff, all of our irritation with taxes and money and financing and mortgages and the government and and we've got to remember that this all has a root problem. We don't believe that we're really citizens of heaven, because if we really believe that, then we would behave that way. And if we behave that way, we would understand that the stuff of this world doesn't really matter. Whether it's having a nicer car or a less nice car. How about this? Do you have shelter and food and the things that you need to survive? And if the answer is yes, then after that, what are you doing with the stewardship that God gave you?
yeah,
That's really the question. Because you can't do what Nero or Caesar's going to, you can't control what Caesar's going to do.
no,
You're forced into giving him money so that you can live in this society that you're in. Plop, you're here. Poof. All right, I grew up in Florida. Now I'm in Ohio. Now I'm in Wisconsin. All right. The money that I use to buy things, it's out of my control what I'm going to do, what they're going to do with it. So the real question is, am I a citizen of heaven? If I am I acting like it?
Yeah, that's the big problem.
Am I acting like it? I don't know. Some days are better than others.
Yeah. Generally, no.
We act
Generally, I'm
we act
acting
like we're
like a
citizens of the United
conquered
States.
subject.
Yeah, we act like we're citizens of the United States who jumped the fence to get into heaven.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It ain't easy.
Thomas
It's
Pearson.
a mind game, and it's been stacked against us since we were born.
Thomas Pearson says right now we are both a citizen of heaven and a citizen of earth, and we can only do the part what I'm assuming that what God wants you to do. Okay. Well, here's the thing, Thomas. I have felt that way for a long time until just recently. Here's the problem. We act like this place is more important than that place. That's the truth. For example, the last church that I served in, just like most churches everywhere, you got your altar up front in the front of the building, and then you've got the Christian flag on one side, and then of course the American flag on the other side. And this pastor who did many, many, many wrong things did one right thing. And the pastor said, look, we're focusing too much on being here rather than there. So this pastor said, I'm going to move the American flag to the back of the room. It's not leaving the sanctuary. I'm just going to put it where its right place is, not in front of us. You would have thought World War III happened. Holy mackerel, people lost their minds. And I understand that there's a lot of people that were a little bit older. Some fought in World War II, but
Mm-hmm.
and there's definite emotion there that you feel this like strong commitment. But the problem is this: it should be heaven first, then way down the line, it should be where's your allegiance, right? Where, family, Jess?
Yeah.
Is it there or is it here? Because we all too often put them right on the same plane, like it's like equal somehow. It should
Yeah.
not even be on the radar.
I heard one of that same argument about, the I fought for that flag and all of that. It was a World War II veteran who brought that argument, and the response was that flag had 48 stars. It's changed a lot since then.
Ooh.
Woo, yeah. You know, hmm.
And I'm not trying, trust me, I am in no way degrading what the World War II generation did for this planet because amazing. Well done. Thank
Yes,
you.
they did.
But,
Even though they had to be dragged kicking and screaming into that war.
well, what I am saying, though, is that we've made America an idol, and it should never have been.
Yeah. Well, it was a result of that war that made America the world leader,
True.
and the reserve currency, the only, and with that power and with that recognition
Mm-hmm.
came great corruption and the degrading of our country.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so, yeah, now we're manipulating things in this world and doing the very things that we fought to stop.
yeah. So trying to round out the morning in a way that's positive, because doggone it, I honestly feel like beat up because I don't like where we're at, but I don't think there's much I can do to change it, except this is the big and good news. I keep beating on this, but we have to remember that your allegiance is to heaven first.
Mm-hmm.
And and after that, it's like, okay, none of this stuff is really that important. When you
Yeah.
really wake up and you go, wait a minute. Okay, so Jesus did this for me. Yeah, check, got it. That means I'm in that family. Whoa. And now I have to respond and act like I'm in that family. I can't keep thinking that it's America first. I can't. Yeah, I got to live here. I got to live here. I'll follow the rules. I'll follow the laws. Yeah, sure. But
Mhm.
you now are in a better club.
Yeah. Well, we have to identify with, um, and God's got a great sense of humor. He named two of the great prophets of the Old Testament close enough that we get them tangled. Was it Elijah or Elisha that killed the prophet of Baal?
One ran, one went to, yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Anyway, in that time, he said, "And I alone am left, to serve you." And God said, "Don't think you're so important. I have
Yeah.
a huge number of prophets that have still not bowed the knee to Baal, and you're not alone."
Yeah.
But we sort of identify with that because we feel like there's nothing I can do. We're all alone. We're not alone. And during the times of wicked kings, there was always a remnant that were faithful. We are that remnant, and we must remain faithful. Do not think you are alone. Do not. God has not surrendered. He has not abdicated his throne. You can't impeach him, and he won't resign. Jesus is coming. He will set things straight. We are his anointed. We are the saints of God, and we will occupy. Currently, we are here.
Mhm.
And we remain faithful, and the King of Kings is coming.
Amen. And you know what? Even if we expire before then, it doesn't change who he is, and it does not change our responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, brother. So this is a good chat, and T. Pearson said I need to go read The Last Battle again after this discussion. You know what? It's
Absolutely.
a kid's book, but I tell you what, there's so much theology packed in there, guys, that you'll be blown away. And if you have not read it, don't read it first. Read The Magician's Nephew, then read Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, and then you can skip a few of the books to get to The Last Battle because it'll make more sense.
Hmm.
Um, and they're awesome. They're just really good theology books, believe it or not. I mean, it's not the same thing as the Bible, obviously, but there's so much in there. I can't even begin to describe it. so so that said, we're going to round out the morning with Pastor Woods making everybody feel warm and happy and fuzzy, and then praying. Right?
Oh, a warm,
That's
fuzzy prayer.
oh yeah, you're all
Yeah, but I can't do
lions.
that because I don't believe in leprechauns or unicorns.
Yeah, yeah,
But but I do believe in prayer,
I do.
and I do know who wins.
Amen. I've seen the end of the book.
That's right. Let's pray. Father, as we come to you, we rejoice in our position in Christ, that
Amen.
you have made us joint heirs with yourself, joint heirs with Christ. And things are not going to remain as they are. You are coming again to reclaim your earth and to cast out the imposters who have made this earth their throne. God, we ask that you would help us to be emboldened, help us to recognize and to just understand that the Lion of Judah dwells within us, that you have dwelt into our soul. And with the power of the Spirit of God, we can remain faithful, we can be bold, and we can do your will and be used for your service. Father, help us to magnify your name to everyone we meet. Help us to be the image of Christ that many people will never see any other way. Lord, we ask for your blessings, your power, and your strength. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
Amen. All right, guys. Friday. I keep forgetting. I'm all twisted around because of the day that Chris had surgery. It felt like Friday. It's Friday. So have an awesome and blessed weekend, and we'll see you back on Monday. We're going to finish out Second Thessalonians, and maybe I'll give you a hint where we're going next. So Have a great weekend.
Amen.
See
And
you.
I will give an update on that monster squash in my garden.
Oh,
I did a short yesterday. I showed a terribly abused, unkept garden, and that all I did was walk out there and plant a few seeds. And it has just turned into a monster gourd.
is it kind of like a Sasquatch?
Yeah, I love that.
All right.
I'm going to call it a Sasquatch.
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 All right.
So I will call it Sasquatch.
All right.
Sasquatch, and I will give frequent updates. But there's a 30-minute short under Bulletproof Pastor. Yeah, I'm throwing a trump out. It's only a 36-second short, and it shows the garden and it shows this monster squash. And when it finally turns brown and turns into a butternut, we will see what it does, unless it splits,
All
which is
righty.
possible. Anyway, God bless you all.
Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.
Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city,